Welcome to another edition of Readact TV. I'm Don Friedman, President of the RIA Digital Assets Council. Today we have Dan Tapiero, Founder and CEO at 10T Holdings. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Glad to be here. Happy to be here.
So the first question we have is, what are the various ways to invest in crypto and what are the pros and cons of each?
Okay. Well, to invest in crypto, that's a pretty broad category. Normally I get the question of, how do you buy Bitcoin? That used to be a difficult question, I think 5 years ago, a difficult question to answer. There were a few spots, but it was still, pretty tricky and difficult. Now, I think it's super easy to buy Bitcoin. You could buy something as easy as the Grayscale Trust. There is now an ETF in Canada. There are a whole bunch of places. Scaramucci, who was on that panel that I did with you, he has an easy way also through his fund. NYDIG has actually come on the scene and made it very easy for institutional investors. So there are a lot of different ways to do it now. I think when you talk about crypto more broadly, and I'm thinking about all the cryptocurrencies that are not Bitcoin, or let's say Ethereum also, which is a $200 billion market valuation, you can buy Bitcoin and Ethereum in your futures account. So that's probably the easiest way. But cryptocurrency is a pretty broad category, and you can't buy let's say DeFi tokens, at every exchange. I think, an exchange like Kraken is probably the best one in terms of giving you the widest exposure to the greatest number. And they have, I think, certainly over 5-6 million clients already. But I think that, if you're more of an active trader, so I'm not so sure if that's your clients, but if you're interested in Aave or Polkadot or something a little off-piste, Kraken is a great place to go to do that. Again, I think that's for, a little more advanced people and people who are a little more active. So I think that was the question, right? That was where one goes to buy it.
And the pros and cons of each.
The pros and cons. Well, look, I think a place like NYDIG, for instance, which has popped up, is really, to me, sort of looks like Goldman Sachs in a way. I mean, it's very corporate, very white glove. River Financial is another place that has popped up recently. Great guys, and they're very white glove. You call them up, you speak to a person, you say, buy my Bitcoin, you wire your money. It's very easy. And I think those firms have popped up recently because there's a whole community of ultra high net worth who don't want to be bothered with, securing their private keys and all of that business and remembering their code and, having different, ledger devices where they keep their Bitcoin off exchange. I mean, it can be a whole to do. And so calling one of those two guys, if you're an RIA, I mean, I think that's, very simple, straightforward. But again, someone like NYDIG only offers Bitcoin. So if you're interested in, Ethereum, or as I mentioned before, BNB token, or, Polkadot, you can't do that there. And Kraken, I think, is probably, the best place in terms of liquidity and diversity of offering. And it's probably cheaper also. I mean, you do pay a little more for white glove service, and that's okay. I mean, I think we all expect to pay a little more for that. So I think those are the pros and cons. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Next question we have is, as a PE firm who invests in mid to late stage digital asset companies, what sort of attributes do you look for? And are you able to give us some companies as examples?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, what we do is relatively straightforward. As you said, we invest only in the mid to late stage companies in the digital asset ecosystem. We are the first fund that I'm aware of that invests explicitly and only in the equity of those companies. So we're not trading tokens, we're not involved in DeFi or stable coins or anything else, just the equity stakes. And these are companies that have valuations, market valuations over $400 or $500 million, 20, 30, 40, 50 million plus in revenue or more. They've established business models, moats around their business. These are companies with income statements, balance sheets, leadership team, strategic vision. In some of the cases, they're more buttoned up than others. The larger companies are sort of starting to think about IPOs or being SPAC'd. The smaller ones in the, closer to 400, 500, 600, are still have, a few years as private companies. But I think that was sort of one of the interesting things when I started digging into the space for me, was to realize that there were really quite a few companies that were established. And the only reason that they weren't, let's say, public or in the S&P 500 already was because they're involved in the cryptocurrency business. Even though they're what I call picks and shovels businesses, people still have a question mark around cryptocurrency. I mean, we know only 1% to 2% of the world have crypto wallets or crypto accounts. So we think it's sort of like 1996 equivalent in terms of the adoption of the internet. And we sort of feel like we're buying the, eBays, Amazons before they went public. And so it's just a great opportunity. Our portfolio, we're building a portfolio we've broken it down into 3 sectors: digital asset ecosystem gateways, next generation financial services, and blockchain infrastructure companies. And the goal for us is to own 3 to 5 companies in each space, in each sector. And so, you ask, are there names that we, can mention? In the first fund, we own a company called eToro, and it was just announced today that it is going to be SPAC'd potentially at 10 billion, which would be very good for us. I have to say, when we bought it, we weren't expecting it to be SPAC'd so quickly, but again, things are moving very, very quickly. And then, we own another large US exchange, and it's not Coinbase. They're coming public, but we've got 2 other companies that we're live and dealing with now. The portfolio is global as well. So the 2 companies we're looking at now, one is Dutch-based, the other one is based in France. And so we have geographic diversification, but we're also diversified by focus. And so that's what we do.
Well, Dan, thanks for taking the time, and thanks for being a guest on React TV.
Thanks, Don. Glad to be here.